Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, and I'm Mitchell Renz. So, I put out a video before about the Raiders' biggest needs, linebacker, wide receiver. And I'm starting to think Mel Kiper Jr. watches the Raiders Report because he dropped one of his first mock drafts. And he had the Raiders selecting wide receiver out of Oklahoma, CeeDee Lamb, at 12. I'll be honest, I would love to see CeeDee Lamb on the Las Vegas Raiders. Still sounds a little bit weird. Now, if you draft CeeDee Lamb, you now have arguably the number one wide receiver in the draft. Elite size, speed, I think would absolutely fit Gruden's offense, and his ability to get yards after the catch is just like ridiculous to me. So this is what Mel Kiper had to say about Lamb. Lamb is a big-time playmaker with great hands who will step in, catch a bunch of passes, and score touchdowns. That's the elite takeaway from Mel Kiper Jr. My main guy for draft coverage will always be Tom Downey. But, let's be real. He is going to score a bunch of touchdowns, and he's going to get a lot of yards, especially after the catch. I mean, the fact that Lamb averaged 21.4 yards in college in 2019, you could say Big 12 defenses, you could say what you want, but that's an elite player. Let's make no mistake about it. And I think if the Raiders draft Lamb at 12, he becomes the number one wide receiver on our depth chart. No disrespect to Tyrell Williams. Tyrell's a good receiver. He's not CeeDee Lamb. He doesn't even have close to the upside of a player like CeeDee Lamb. And if you draft CeeDee Lamb, I've said his name 3 times already in the last 30 seconds, you get him in your number one wide receiver spot so you can get him to work with Carr and really figure out what kind of player Derek Carr is going forward. Now, if you guys are diehard Raider fans, I want you to subscribe so you don't miss anything the entire offseason. Do you bleed silver and black? Do you randomly shout out Raiders when you see a guy walking down the street with a Raider hat? Those are the people that I want to subscribe. And there's not going to be another channel out there that drops more videos than us here. So go subscribe, youtube.com/Raidersport. Click that big red button. I'm not the only person that wants CeeDee Lamb on the Raiders, though. Trent Brown, man. You know what? I love when players are active on social media, besides FAB. Now, Trent Brown saw a video of CeeDee Lamb, and he's basically running routes. He's working with a coach. And Trent Brown quote tweets it and says, "That's who I want on my team." And I think, easily, CeeDee Lamb could be the first pick by the Raiders in this year's draft, if he's available, right? I mean, this wide receiver draft class is very talented. And I think when you look at it, CeeDee Lamb to me, at first wasn't my number one. But now he's starting to become my number one because I think when you look at what the Raiders want to do in their offense, they want to get the ball out quick, okay? Who's the best player, I think, at yards after the catch in this draft? In my opinion, it's CeeDee Lamb, which is why he is now my number one wide receiver for the Raiders in this draft. Plus, he's been all over Raiders media. Now, I get this picture came out, okay? Now, this picture came out after a 3-touchdown performance against Texas. But the reason why CeeDee Lamb wore this jersey was because for Fred Belindikoff, that's the award for the best wide receiver. I don't know if it was so much because he was saying, "Hey, Raiders, come draft me." But let's be real, the dude does look really good in silver and black. So I want everyone to answer this question, okay? Now, should the Raiders draft CeeDee Lamb? I want you to type D for draft, or I want you to type P for pass. Now, for those of you that see this video on YouTube, you might get hit with an ad break, okay? While the ad is playing, I'm going to make this the pinned comment on the video. So I want you to scroll on down, and I want you to type D for draft, or I want you to type P for pass. Now, the reason why I'm going to be typing my D for draft is because I talked about this a little bit previously on the Raiders Report. If you haven't seen this yet, go check it out, youtube.com/RaidersReport. The Raiders could decide to cut Tyrell Williams, right? He could be a possible Raiders cap cut because he's set to make $11.1 million. If you cut him, the dead hit is $0. Now, in 2019, he started strong. But then my man Tyrell battled injuries, and he was supposed to be our wide receiver 1B. AB was supposed to be the 1, and he had to fill in. Now, when he was on the field those first 8 weeks, when he was healthy, he was good. I mean, let's make no mistake about it. He missed week 5, week 7, and still scored 5 touchdowns, had over 300 yards receiving. After the plantar fasciitis set in, And John Gruden spoke about this a ton during the season, that he was playing through the pain. Now, I will always tip my cap to a player that's trying to play through it, but the injuries definitely slowed him down. However, I still don't know if Tyrell Williams is the number one wide receiver. I don't know if Tyrell Williams is worth $11.1 million. And the fact that you can cut and move on from him, maybe it's something the Raiders think about. The only reason why I say that you hold on to Tyrell is because with the Raiders' biggest need right now on offense being wide receiver, and you trying to figure out what you have in a player like Derek Carr, it does not make a lot of sense for you to move on from Tyrell Williams. Now, let's just say, though, the Raiders do decide to cut Williams. Then what? I'm going to tell you that right after Bet DSI, the internet's #1 sportsbook. Go to chatsports.com/bet. Use my promo code Raiders120. It's going to get you 120% deposit bonus. So if you don't want to bet on the Super Bowl, because let's be real, 49ers, Chiefs, I don't know. But if you want to bet on the NBA instead, if you want to bet on all sports, Bet DSI is the internet's #1 sportsbook. But you got to go to chatsports.com/bet. You got to use the promo code Raiders120. It's going to get you 120% deposit bonus. Shout out to Bet DSI for hooking up here, all of us here at Chat Sports, with the best deal out there. Now, I put this rumor on my show last week. Maybe you didn't see it, okay? I allured to you guys talking about, or I kind of hinted that the Raiders, if they do decide to cut Tyrell Williams, then what? I gave this one 2 Chucky heads, the Raiders drafting 2 wide receivers in round 1 because of this. The 2020 draft, it is full of talented receivers. What happens every single year in a draft? Quarterbacks get taken a lot higher. What does that mean? Talented players get pushed down the board. So, if a player like CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, heck, even T. Higgins, if we can get 2 out of those receivers with our top 2 picks, guess what? I'm okay with it. Because I think Isaiah Simmons is going to be gone. And if, let's say, some of our other players that were on our board are gone, maybe you could look at getting a top wide receiver. The other reason why I say that is because free agency. I would rather go after free agents at the linebacking, like for linebackers, rather than going after the wide receivers. I don't know if I'm confident in spending $12 million on Robbie Anderson. I don't know if I want A.J. Green, who's battled injuries, but maybe go out and get a linebacker. If you want to see some top linebacker picks, that video is also on the Raiders channel, so subscribe so you don't miss any of my videos. So I always give out Chucky heads, and the people who are my loyal watchers, they understand what this means. So if I see this comment, I'll know that you always watch the Raiders Report. So how many Chucky heads on this rumor? The Raiders will draft 2 wide receivers in round 1. Are you giving it 0 Chucky heads, tuck rule, tuck that? Are you going to give it 4 believe it, baby? Or are you going to agree with me? 2 Chucky heads, people are talking. People are also talking about the Raiders potentially drafting Kenneth Murray. One of the guys that's talking about it is Mel Kiper Jr. So my first rumor on today's show was the Raiders drafting CeeDee Lamb. So let's say the Raiders draft CeeDee Lamb. Then Mel Kiper says, well, I can see the Raiders taking Kenneth Murray, linebacker, from Oklahoma. Let's be real. The Raiders still looking for an impact linebacker. Murray is a smart player. Now, this is what Kiper had to say about Kenneth Murray. Murray is chiseled, gifted, talented, with great athleticism for his size. He needs to improve in coverage, but he has the speed to match tight ends in space. And God, I'm going to try not to laugh at this last sentence. And is so fun to watch on tape as a tackler and penetrator. Okay, Mel. Now, he's got 102 tackles this past year at Oklahoma. 4 sacks, 4 pass breakups, 17 tackles for a loss. My only fear with Kenneth Murray is he going to be able, I get it, he's talented, but is he going to be able to cover wide receivers, tight ends at the next level? Now, right now, when you look at the Raiders' linebacking depth chart, it's thin. Okay, Will Compton, free agent. Vontez Burfict, free agent. Wilbur, free agent. They could also decide to cut Tahir Whitehead and save $6.25 million. If they do that, linebacker becomes even more of a big need. I like Kenneth Murray. I've been looking at the comments on a lot of my videos. A lot of y'all are starting to hype up Queen from LSU. I take into consideration what you guys have to say. Kenneth Murray, though, should be a player on the Raiders' radar. For me, though, Mel, I think it's a little bit high at 19. Let's talk about our GM, shall we? Mike Mayock. Man, I love Mike Mayock. You know why? Because he tells you how it is. And that's what I respect about Mike. So Mike, spoke at the Senior Bowl this past week, and he basically just went on to say that he's very happy with the 2019 rookies because they're leaders on and off the field. He also goes on to say on why John Gruden and him decided to pick the rookies that they did. Why? Because the Raiders needed a culture change. And the only way to get a culture change is by finding players that you can build around who are going to do the right things on and off the field. I think we can all agree that our rookies this year balled out. Yes? Do you agree? Cool. Max Crosby, Josh Jacobs, and we did all this with Cleveland having a little bit of a setback year and our other first-round pick, Jonathan Abram, being injured. I am so excited to see what happens in 2020. I plan on going to Vegas. If anybody wants to party with me in Vegas, slide in those DMs at Mitchell Renz 365. I'm setting something up for the nation. But to get back to the real point here, I want you guys to knock on wood if you're with me. If you did not see a culture change this past year with the Raiders, I think you're sleeping. So I'm going to move my laptop, and I want every single person that watches this video to type KOW if you saw a culture change. You ready? Knock on wood if you're with me. Because there was a big time change, and I can't wait to be covering the Raiders all off season long. So make sure you guys subscribe, okay? You can kind of see it below. I'm teasing some stuff. Who needs some free gear? New gear, not free. My bad. We got some gear for you guys on sale. T-shirts, hats, jackets, sweatshirts, and more. I'll make you a deal. You go out and buy this shirt here, or if you get a hat and a T-shirt, maybe we can work out on a deal. Okay, so chatsports.com/Raiders combo. We got stuff, man, up to 50% off. This polo I also got there, so if you're looking for a polo, new hat, maybe you're balding, I don't know. But if you need a jersey as well, all this kind of gear, okay? T-shirts, hats, jackets. But if you want just that combo, go to chatsports.com/Raiders combo. Last rumor on today's show. Derek, you and I both, man. So, Derek is starting to get a little tired of the Tom Brady rumors. And, again, Derek, you and me both. So, my job is to cover the stories, give my opinion. I've said tuck rule, tuck that on Tom Brady coming to the Raiders since day one. I've said it since day one. Now, if you guys haven't seen the viral photo that came out last week or 2 weeks ago of Mark Davis and Tom Brady at UFC 246, this is basically what Derek's talking about, okay? So here it is. They saw each other, they smiled, and that basically made the entire internet blow up by saying, Tom Brady's going to be coming to Vegas. Well, that's why I made my video. I said pump the brakes. So this is what Derek had to say about all the Tom Brady rumors, and normally Derek's a little quiet, so I give him some credit for speaking up. I mean, there was a lot of quarterbacks at that fight, and there was a lot of football players at that fight that are free agents. And it's like every time with my job, it's always a story, no matter what. He also said this, and knowing some people that were around, I even know what the conversation was, the conversation between Mark Davis and Tom Brady, and it's like, come on, man. When is it going to end? Derek, I agree with you. I have pounded my fist on this table that I think Carr deserves another year. He does need some talented receivers around him. He does need more playmakers around him. But if there is one thing that I've tried to do is I've tried to end these Tom Brady to the Raiders rumors. So what I want every single person to do, if you've made it this far in the video, I want you to go to my Instagram. It's at Mitchell Renz 365. And I want you to share my last Instagram post. Okay? Derek's sick of the Tom Brady rumors. I'm sick of them too. Share my last Instagram post. Educate the nation. Because if anybody out there is okay with Tom Brady wearing silver and black, in my opinion, you're not a real Raiders fan. So go share the last post. It's at Mitchell Renz 365. Raider Nation, what's going on? Is this the #1 Raiders channel on YouTube? For Chucky heads, believe it, baby. And if you haven't already, subscribe right here. I'm giving you Chucky heads, news, rumors, Raider Nation rumors. And look at this. I'm making your life easier. Check out my next video. Thanks for watching, and go Raiders.